Tractate Megillah, Chapter 1, Introduction. Megillah Esther, the Scroll of Esther, often just called the Megillah, relates how the Jewish population of the Persian Empire was saved from destruction. Haman, a high-ranking officer in the court of King Ahasuerus, plotted to kill all the Jews in the empire, but his plans were thwarted by Mordecai, the spiritual leader of the Jewish people, and his adopted daughter Esther. Instead of being killed by their enemies, the Jewish people fought back and succeeded in defeating them. They celebrated their victory with feasting and rejoicing. To commemorate those events, Mordecai and Esther proposed the annual festival of Purim, which was enacted into law by the Anshe Knesset Hagadolah, the men of the Great Assembly, of which Mordecai was a member. The date of Purim. The Megillah relates that in most parts of the Persian Empire, the Jews fought and defeated their enemies on the 13th of Adar, and they celebrated their victory on that day, on the next day, the 14th. In the capital of Shushan, however, they fought for an extra day, and thus did not celebrate until the 15th. See Esther chapter 9, verses 17 and 18. To commemorate those two original days of celebration, the 14th and 15th of Adar, the sages established two different dates for Purim. In most places, Purim is observed on the 14th, but in any town or city that resembles Shushan, in that it was surrounded by walls, it is observed on the 15th, known as Shushan Purim. Reading the Megillah. The main subject of Tractate Megillah is the mitzvah of reading the Megillah on Purim. This mitzvah is mentioned in the Megillah itself, and on these days should be remembered and celebrated, chapter 9, verse 28. The days are remembered through reading about them. Every Jew is obligated to read the Megillah or hear it being read from a parchment scroll. It is read twice, once at night and once during the day. The other mitzvahs of Purim. The Megillah describes Purim as days of feasting and gladness, and sending portions of food, each man to his fellow, and gifts to the poor, chapter 9, verse 22. Three mitzvahs are mentioned in this verse. 1. The Purim feast. One must partake of a festive meal that includes wine on Purim day. 2. Sending gifts of food. One must give at least 2 portions of food or drink to at least one person. 3. Gifts to the poor. One must give food or money to at least 2 poor people.